Hey dudes, today we're back with some more posts on the UseNet. If you don't know what any of that means, basically these are posts that people made in 1994. UseNet, I've kind of explained it before, it's not super relevant, but basically this is all like terminal internet where people had text-based, it's complicated, it's way before the internet as you know and understand it, and these posts are currently hosted on Google Groups, a defunct thing that archives all of, or much of the Usenet posts from back in the day. Everything we will talk about is from August. I think like the earliest is August 15th and the last is August 30th of 1994. So these are things that people were posting and talking about like within the first year of Magic. Obviously, Magic was 93, but it was the end of 93. This is about a year after Magic was first released to the public, for context. Anyway, without further ado, let's get into some of these posts and see what people were saying about Magic over 30 fucking years ago. Let's hop on in. Price gouging. Okay, I am an editor of Dex Magazine and am also an avid gamer. Here in Las Vegas, the price of the Dark is already ranging from $1.45 a pack to $4 a pack. I think this is totally amazing that something that has been out for less than 24 hours is up to almost quadruple in price. I had one shop owner today lecture me on why he must sell the cards at such a markup to make a living. What did hobby stores do before Magic? Starve. This is incredible. Any honest business owner will sell these things at retail and make an honest profit. I know several store owners that will only sell Magic at retail or for no profit to keep it in the store because it attracts so much business. There is one store that sold cards at a 15% discount to offset the gouging in town. I think that this kind of practice is not very businesslike and needs to be stopped. I agree with pack limits. I think 5 a day is fair for an expansion. I have seen 3 a day work too. I am planning on seeing what we as a hobbyist community can do to stop this gouging. Hopefully, WotC can give us a hand and offer some ideas for what we can do to make this thing a game once again, instead of the hobby stores answering to a get-rich-quick scheme. Anyone with good ideas can post them here or to my address at Dex Magazine at yada yada. Well, maybe someday they'll figure it out. How to stop gouging. I'm sure this won't be a problem in 30 fucking years. Oh, so funny. I've been curious just exactly how many packs a player would use to spice up their decks. I admit I get a display box if I can. Somehow I just don't think buying 2 to 3 packs will give cards a sufficient quantity to have a noticeable influence on a deck. Do others agree? I'm sure WotC would like to know what the minimum purchase someone will make. Yeah, I'm sure they will. Some people might like to pick up just 1 or 2 packs to see what they're like. I was planning on picking up about 6 packs, since I figure that a 48 card spread would give me a few black, a few blue, and then I could trade the rest for more blacks and blues. Problem is, I can't find a single store in Philadelphia that's got them. I found one guy who's got 10 boxes in his back room that he won't sell retail. He's waiting for supplies to dry up, his words. I spoke to the owner of 3 different stores who tell me that their entire supplies were bought out by people who came in and bought everything they had and are reselling them at 300 each. The folks who buy boxes at these prices are partially to blame, but most of the blame rests on these scumbag retailers. I use this term loosely. The mind boggles at what I'll have to do to get a Fallen Empires pack. Not much, dude. They fixed this problem temporarily. Oh man, that's so interesting. It's crazy just how different the priorities are of various Magic players and anyone in any collector sphere. Holy shit. What I'll have to do to get a Fallen Empires pack. That's so funny. Alright. Well, I bought 10 packs myself. Excellent cards. The uncommons, we're talking about the dark here, by the way. The uncommons are all neat cards, and I got multiples of some of what I thought were the best common cards, which were all great. Can't say that I really needed 5 miracle workers, though. Yeah, probably not. However, I am still short 8 common cards, not counting Maze of Ith, so I'll probably buy 2 more packs. I like to have complete common sets, while the uncommons and rares are just nice additions. That's reasonable. The number of cards in the set seemed about right. I think future expansions should be modeled off of the Dark, and definitely not off of Legends. When a set is limited in printing, they should give players the courtesy of letting us see a significant part of the expansion before buying a few packs. Yeah, they do that now. And I'm sure the collectors in the crowd are happy to get almost a full set out of only one box. Yeah, probably, maybe not. Some collectors don't like cards being available, some don't care what others are doing, they just want the cards. It's hard to put anyone in a box, you know? And then responding to the dude who's pissed about retailers, you can start to become pretty smug when the second shipment comes in. The critical times to sell the Dark will be before the second shipment and before Fallen Empires comes out. I will tell you that once you have 2,000 plus expansion cards, you won't be buying gouged packs for reasons other than above, and neither will everybody else. By the way, I am selling a complete set of the Dark for $125 or best offer, and can buy Dark packs for retail plus shipping as part of the deal. Interesting. Mind boggles at what I'll have to do to get Fallen Empires back. Pre-order 3 boxes and sell 2.5 of them. Not bad advice. Knowing what we know now, bad advice, but at the time. So I stopped on my way home from work by a baseball trading card store to buy some plastic binder 3x3 card sleeves. When last I shopped there, they had Magic the Gathering, both starter and booster pack. Now, 1 week after Dark hit, I was curious if they got it. First, I find my sleeves, then behind the counter, I see it. MTG boosters for $3 and Dark for $6. My local game stores just got them in last week, so this is a 4 times retail markup. And I believe it's about a 6 to 8 times wholesale markup. I ask, as I always do, how it's selling. Young fellow, clearly not owner, said, really well, we just got the Dark in, and I mispriced them at $8 a pack, and 5 to 6 folks bought it at that price. Guess I'll owe them a few packs when they return. Internal shock, external calm cool. I asked if he played, he said no. Surprising enough, these folks are not selling individual cards. What a time to be alive. What a time to be playing Magic. Alright. I'm wandering around here, but here's a few thoughts. Not surprisingly, my opinion has been influenced by the availability of the Dark in my area. As someone who's fortunate enough to live near a retailer who knows the Magic market, it's a combination of the customer's fault for paying these prices and WotC's practice of not reprinting cards. In my opinion, however, these gouging retailers have pretty much set themselves open for competition for the next expansion set. Remember when the net said that because of Legends there would be plenty of Dark cards to go around? Well, history is a lesson never learned, and netters buying cards via pre-order have a ready market in their gaming clubs. Or just the second shipment of the Dark. Maybe you can't buy them off the shelves, but you might be able to order from someone who doesn't gouge. If there's a shortage of the Dark, it's because of 2 reasons. One, a lot of the first shipment went to pre-orders. Many of those people will not be buying many more packs. And 2, speculators buying by the case in the hope of making a killing. My advice is don't buy from the speculators and the gougers. It only encourages them. Maybe if they get burned on the Dark, there'll be fewer problems getting Fallen Empires. Wait for the second shipment. Pre-order if you can. If you don't want a whole box, get a group together and share it out. If you want cards now, trade for or buy the commons. There will be a lot of people with excess, and they'll be happy to part with a few. Oh, man. Oh. The more things change, the more they stay the same. Am I fucking right, dudes? Holy shit. They wouldn't know what they're worth. Well, at least not until there's a Beckett Magic price guide. Oh, these people are mad. I don't blame them, but they're mad. I completely agree. Plus, I went back, and he did say he wouldn't know what to charge. But let me indulge in a rant at their expense, not yours. Rant on. Is it too fucking much to ask these people to work for their money? If they are going to wait till a fucking price guide comes out, then they don't deserve the jobs they have now. As much as we hate these guys, it is especially unnerving when they expect shit like this to be handed to them. Whine, I can't figure out what to charge for this card because a price guide isn't available. Like you're breaking my heart, pal. Do some work. Ever hear about research? Geez, just extract the rares and sell those for 90% of the packs and the commons for 10% of the packs, and you're money ahead. Anything else I can do for you, sir? Do you want me to wash your dick, sir? Rant off. But I don't know why I'm ranting. I really want these guys to end up selling them at MSRP. Oh, dude. Is it too late to make this a copy pasta? Should just fucking reply this to every post on Pokemon Twitter or fucking whatever. Just post this. Oh, fucking classic. Alright. This whole thread seems to consist of 1. People upset that stores are charging more than MSRP for Magic, and 2. People upset that some buyers are hoarding cards to jack prices. The solution to number 1 is simple and truly American. Go into a store that charges $4 for a dark and say, if you sell me this for list price, you'll get my business for other games as well. It took me 5 stores. I'm lucky in the San Francisco area to have that many, I know, but I found a shop that said, okay. What if you don't have 5 stores, dude? Remember economics, folks. Why on earth should a seller take less than the market will bear? Well, give him a reason. I make it a point to patronize stores that charge reasonable prices and set maximum purchases. Reason with the owner. If he knows he can sell every pack he can get his hands on, doesn't it make more sense to use 100 packs to satisfy 10 customers at 10 each than to satisfy 1 customer and piss off 9? Maybe. I think all this is a bit more complicated than you're making it out to be, dude. But yeah, that's a guy can dream, right? Number 2, I don't have an answer for that. I'm only semi-divine. Well, good try. Good try, Chief. Can't people remember basic economics? It would be nice. Anyway, I am wondering why WotC sent a smaller shipment of Legends and then a few weeks later sent the huge shipment of the cards. When the smaller shipment came out, the packs sold for $2.45 and ran out immediately as they had a paltry portion of their retailers' orders actually come in. Then a few weeks later, when the huge shipment came in, the packs were going for $5 and up. There was no shortage of Legend cards after this second time around. I know of at least 5 retailers in my area who received 10% of their orders in the first shipment and the other 90% 3 weeks later. Since they were able to sell out in a short time after the first Legends came in, they were able to mark their prices as they knew demand would still be high, as only a very few cards had been available before. Had this occurred in the reverse, many of us who were unable to buy any Legends the first time around would have been able to buy them at something other than $7.50 a pack. I'm very upset with this policy of WotC to split shipments into several parts upon release. I know of several retailers in my area who will no longer carry Magic after Fallen Empires as they are sick and tired of being shorted constantly. Foreshadowing! They receive hundreds of calls concerning the availability of Magic the week it comes in, and since the new expansion sells out in 3 hours, they are bombarded by angry customers, even with a limit of 2 packs per person. A particular store received 20 boxes of the Dark out of 70 plus ordered, and these boxes were sold out in 2 hours and 45 minutes. I am forced to buy a box just to be able to get any cards of an expansion, as a box will be held for me, possibly, where a few packs won't. Nuff said. Yeah. It's really cool to see some of the issues people were having with early Magic back in the day. Continuing on, once more for the record, WotC does not short anyone. They deliver all the cards to the distributors that the distributors... Once more for the record, WotC does not short anyone. They deliver all the cards to the distributors that the distributors ordered. The only exception are those distributors who try to steal business by releasing cards early. If a store is shorted, it is the fault of the distributor. Blaming WotC is totally unjustified. If the stores are having problems with their shipments, they need to talk to their distributors about it. Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with this. Obviously, no one, I don't think anyone has clean hands in any of these situations, right? They're all, like, there's issues with all of them. But I would agree that a lot of the distribution issues were not really WotC's fault. Um, there was let's just say there's a lot of greed going on in early Magic. But we have a post by Tom Wiley. Tom Wiley was the first ever rules manager. This guy works at Wizards of the Coast. So what he has to say here is can be filtered through the lens of obviously he cares about Wizards approval and stuff like that, and he's beholden to them, but he also has some insights. So let's take a look at this. Legends was sent to Legends was sent to us from Cardi Mundi as one big shipment. As far as I know, the cards were cranked out to the distributors as fast as possible, and they'd all at least been sent to them and presumably had arrived by the release date. So if your Legends cards didn't show up for 3 weeks, you'll have to talk to some distribution link somewhere down the chain from us. Yeah, makes sense. And then he's responding to these comments here, tired of being shorted constantly, will no longer carry Magic. Perhaps they should discuss it with their distributor. The only instance of WotC shorting distributors is when a handful of distributors were shorted 5 or 10% of their cards for releasing antiquities and or the player pocket guide. Yeah, right, that the player pocket guide. Were shorted 5 to 10% of their cards for releasing antiquities and the player pocket guide before the release date. And those cards were simply rerouted to other distributors who can follow the rules. We simply do not go around shorting people 50 to 70% of their order, as people like to say we do when explaining why they're marking their cards 200 to 300%, or trying to cover for not having ordered any cards to speak of. And then he's replying to a limit of 2 packs per person, out. On the other hand, the Dark is coming across in multiple shipments. The print run was simply too big for one shipment, especially since Cardi Monday also had to crank out Jihad and the Star Trek game. Well, thanks, Tom. Really appreciate that. Yeah, he was a net rep at the time, but he was also the first rules manager. Interesting insight. Me wonders if some distributors are also hoarders. Yeah, I fucking wonder. It'd be interesting to see who the distributor is or for the stores that were massively shorted and to see if it's all the same distributor. Just wondering. It's a good question, Mike. In addition to the above, also make it known to the managers of the store that won't sell at retail that you will refuse to buy any of their other merchandise, and you will recommend to any of your friends who ask that they not patronize that store. You have to give them a reason not to sell at boosted prices. Losing business is a reason. The loss of one customer is not all that big of a deal. But if everyone said this, we'd all be paying retail. Don't just walk out, tell them why you are walking out and that you won't be back. Yeah, and they certainly won't replace you with 100 other fucking people. Like, this is really cool idea. I like the concept of, like, we gotta stick together and, like, don't let them walk all over you. But that the problem is, like, people have been saying this for 30 years and that doesn't fucking work. It just kind of is what it is. Someone else will buy it because someone else will buy it. Anyway, Comic shop I used to patronize in New Jersey, I've since moved. Well, thanks, that's super relevant. Just started carrying Magic the Gathering in early August. The owner of the store is able to get Antiquities, Legends, and the Dark from their distributor, but at vastly inflated prices. I've also called around to several trading card distributors looking for the Dark. They don't have any of the first shipment left, but they do have Legends in stock for 400 to 450 a box. I think this at least partially substantiates the rumor that distributors are hoarding Magic the Gathering cards. There is one simple solution. Don't buy any cards for more than MSRP. Let the folks who are charging more know that you won't buy anything from them, Magic the Gathering, or otherwise, if they continue their pricing practices. If enough players let their local shops and distributors know this, they might start charging MSRP again. However, I think the folks that care about keeping their current customers are the ones that do sell for MSRP and sell out in hours. Remember, you do have a choice. Vote with your dollars. Yeah. Chris, there are two flaws with your suggestion. The first is that if you want to buy a pack of antiquities today, you must pay more than list. No one is still selling them for list. Secondly, the places that sell at list sell out in a few hours. Those of us who can't take time out from work don't even get a shot at new runs like the Dark. Yeah, dude, that's fucking rough. As someone who has also, like, worked long hours before, it's fucking shitty not being able to get something just because you were, contributing to fucking society. And the last post we have here is, that's true, but most MSRP arguments are about the cards that have been just released. Uh, in example, the Dark, or will always be available. In example, the Revised. Um, don't even get a shot at new runs like the Dark. Pre-order. Those who work, pre-order. Those who don't, take time out. It's karma. Okay, if you can pre-order, sure. I guess that's a solution to sometimes. It's not like a store has ever canceled pre-orders because the demand skyrocketed and they could sell it for higher to someone else, right? So obviously that's a permanent solution to this. This was really interesting to me just to see that like a fucking nothing ever fucking changes. Go to any point in history and human behavior doesn't fucking change. No matter where you like it's always the fucking same. People are going to be what people are going to be. And I just think stuff like this is really fascinating. Anyway, I thought this was really interesting, but another post that I want to show you is maybe one of the most insane suggestions I've ever seen on the internet, which quite honestly is saying a lot. Anyway, this is a list of all Magic the Gathering players on the internet. I am trying to put together a list of all MTG players that are on the internet. I'm going to arrange it by what internet on ramp, in example, Freenet, AOL, etc., that you have addresses to. That way, people can ask me to tell them other collectors with local internet addresses. Please send me all of your internet addresses, and I'll send you a copy of your local list. Thanks. Holy shit. People have some opinions about this. Man, do you have any idea of what size of a project you propose? Also, the fact that many people object to such information gathering? Yeah, indeed. Well, this list could certainly be useful if it was done by, say, city instead of service, AOL. I've recently moved to Ottawa, and the way I found Magic players was to do a search for all freenet.carleton.ca and carleton.ca addresses of people who had posted to RGD. Then I mailed them. If you really want to do your list, probably the best way to do it would be an automated search of the from dot lines. Just store all unique mail addresses of people who post to Rec.Games.Deckmaster. You could also do this with the GGL archives on whatever, or just query the mail server for people on the list. Then, since this information is all public stuff anyway, you can just post it to the net. Attach a message to it saying to mail you city-specific stuff if a person wants it included. You can use a net find to find out the city of a majority of the accounts. People without AOL or CompuServer. Holy shit. I think can't find the city of an AOL user easily. Good luck. Oh my god. As I am sure you will find out, many people strenuously object to that sort of list gathering on the internet. I would make sure that you only compile a list of those who choose to be placed on such a list. Good luck with such a potentially tremendous project. Oh my god. If you're interested in offering this as a free service to Magic players, I would suggest setting it up as a www page. Yeah, this is a time before that was a common thing. This way, you could update it, and people would only go to it when they wanted to. No mass mailings, etc. That sounds great, except for the fact that not everyone has access to www. Can you imagine? I think that list sounds like a great idea. It's going to be a lot of work. Holy wow. I, for one, would not want my name on such a list. Much too easy for mass advertisers to get their message out. If this was your idea, I missed the original post. Please do not include my address. Yeah, I agree, Dave. Get the fuck out of here. And then there's just a bunch of people posting their information. It's like, yeah, hell yeah, man. This thread is such a waste of bandwidth. I had to join in. Imagine when people gave a fuck about that. Oh, what a fucking world. Well, I guess me too. Ditto, but mine has more flair. Holy shit, I can't believe people are just willy-nilly posting their shit for anyone to scrape at any point. Holy wowzers. Yeah, I thought this was fucking crazy. You do got to remember it was a much more optimistic time, I think. People weren't like obviously the internet was still really new. People didn't even have access to www. Most people didn't have like this is 94. Most people didn't even have like internet access in their home. This is so fucking crazy to me. Holy wowzers, dudes. Um but yeah, I saw this and I was flabbergasted. I just kind of had to share it. I have two more posts I wanted to show, but these two are actually more about magic. Like using Armageddon. I have a pretty rockin' white deck, but I would like to try playing a few more of my cards which I haven't tried yet. One of the cards I'd like to give a shot at is Armageddon. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to come up with a good strategy for playing it. Some friends tried to tell me that using Equinox would save my land, but that's a crock. Comments? Anyone with a good strategy for playing Armageddon? So this is really interesting because these days most people understand like how to play Armageddon, but it was a pretty confusing card design at the time. If you like, you got to remember people didn't understand what tempo was. People weren't even like playing the smallest minimum decks or maximum copies of things. Consistency was like the game was just thought about in such a different way than it is thought about today. So like stuff like this is really interesting. But let's see what sort of ideas people had about how to play Armageddon back in the day. All right. You're right that Equinox won't help. It would counter the whole spell. If you want to save just certain lands, you'll need to protect them with Consecrate Land. Yeah, I guess. Or else use pyramids on them. Note that power artifact on the pyramids will allow each untapped land to save itself, as the cost will be reduced to 1 per land you wish to save. Man, imagine having the time to fucking get out of pyramids and power artifact it before you Armageddon. Oh my god. Hell yeah, dude. You're probably going to have to find non-land sources of mana for yourself. This means creatures, elves, birds, Sister of Flames, etc., artifacts, Felwar Stone, mana batteries, Ashnod's Altar, or perhaps spells, Dark Ritual, Sacrifice, etc. Yeah. Good suggestions. You may want to consider using some artifacts to increase the distress. The problem is they all hurt you as well, so you have to be careful. An Ankh of Mishra is useful so that they take damage for putting down new land. A Dingus Egg will do damage to each land destroyed. Yeah, Dingus Egg would do that. This was restricted for a while, and I believe it was specifically because of the Dingus Egg Armageddon combo, which is so fucking funny to me. Yeah, Dingus Egg is the problem here. Of these, I use the Ankh but not the Egg, as I don't use pyramids. I can't believe you wouldn't use pyramids, one of the greatest cards ever designed. Another useful artifact for an Armageddon deck is the Winter Orb, which will lock down what lands they do have. Yeah, fuck them. If you have the Candelabra, you can unfreeze your own lands using non-land mana at their end phase. Yeah, yes you could. You might also consider don't just using Armageddon in a deck like this, but also adding Wrath of God and Balance. Yeah, this means you won't have creatures out very often, and also that your artifacts will be very important to you. For this reason, if you can, a Guardian Beast will help a lot, as may an Argivian Archaeologist. Oh yeah, gangster. You can have Tawnos' Coffin hide your creature when the Wrath or Balance hits. You could also look into non-creature creatures like a Consecrated Mishra's Factory or Jade Statues. Hell yeah, dude. A power artifact on a rocket launcher is impressive. Hey, I've said that before. Especially if the Guardian Beast is out to protect it from destruction. That doesn't work anymore because I'm pretty sure Rocket Launcher has been eroded to sacrifice itself at the end. So the whole Guardian Beast stuff doesn't really work anymore, but really cool and funny at the time. The Beast would also save berserking Jade statues, but not Chaos Orb or discs or the like. Now that's interesting. I don't maybe. I don't know. Like the rules have changed a lot at times. It's hard to say like which of these rulings were real or just play groups. I'm not sure on that one. Anyway, let's continue. To put the squeeze on their creatures, use the Tabernacle at Pendrell Vale. Yeah, everyone's got one of those. Forcing them to pay upkeep on each creature. The ultimate cruelty, however, is to play with a living plane as well. Each land could only save itself, not doing anything else. Plus, with a Wrath of God, all their lands and creatures are gone. We call this move Wrath-ageddon around here, and it's amazingly nasty. Managed it twice yesterday, once with Living Plane and Wrath of God, and another time in another deck with Living Plane, Touch of Darkness, and Cleanse. Not a pretty picture. Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah. What a fucking combo. You are correct. Equinox blocks the spell from ever going off, so no dice there. What you need are the following. Some Consecrate lands and a few pyramids. I managed to lay my hands on 2 pyramids, holy shit, dude, and 3 Consecrate lands, which are pretty nasty with my 2 Armageddons. Probably in his 85 card deck. Very consistent. I put them in when I feel really evil, but only if I have black as a supporting color for the demonic tutor to better be able to get the combo out. Alright, sure. Also, put in some non-land mana, as the pyramids need 2 mana to save a single land from destruction. I use 2 basalt monoliths and a soul ring for that. Wish I had a bunch of Moxen. Yeah, everybody does, man. Hope that helps. Oh, it's so funny. All right, we got another person. The Armageddon is a straight up long-term mana deprivation card. It's great against black and white to break those COP whites against your karma. If you have a library of Leng, you can save your lands in your hand to get ahead on mana, laying down land every turn while your opponent waits for his out of his deck. Yeah, sure, that's not terrible. This strategy is even more effective with Fast Bond or Gaia's Touch in green-white. Remember, also in green-white to save wild growth for the new land. If you have auxiliary mana sources, Soul Rings, Moxes, Llanowar Elves, etc., then it gets really interesting as you can use Fast Bond with impunity with a COP green. And if you have a COP artifacts, then Ankh of Mishra, Dingisig, Armageddon clocks, you can't pay the upkeep? Darn, well, I'll just pop one colorless into my circle and watch. COP artifacts and Armageddon clock is kind of funny. And numerous other enchantments and artifacts become violent. It's also a good Gaia's Liege buster. Oh yeah, Gaia's Liege, man. What a fucking problem card. Those things get violent when green starts using Gaia's Touch. As well as a game ender versus demonic hordes. Another card that really needed to be fucking put in its place. Hard to pay upkeep without swamp, and the hordes will eat the one land the opponent can play per turn. I have a lot of other uses for it. More later, after I answer a few calls. Oh man. Armageddon can also be useful in conjunction with land tax. Yeah, bud. Yeah, it can. Allow yourself to fall behind in the mana race. Use land tax until you've saved up 4 or 5 lands in your hand, and then drop the Armageddon. It'll take a few turns for you to build back up, but at least you know you will have the lands to do so, whereas they might not. Yeah, that's actually a decent strategy at the time. Oh, what else we get? First, get out a circle of protection artifacts. Next, a few dingus eggs. Dude, I can't. I can't with this shit, man. Play Armageddon and tap enough lands to deal with the dingus egg damage before the lands go poof. Probably helpful to have a Mox Pearl and a Mox Ruby too. Yeah, yeah. Pretty useless cards unless you're doing COP artifacts, dingus egg, and Armageddon. Soul Ring and Basalt Monolith would also be helpful. Reverse Polarity might also be a nice addition. Oh man, early Magic is so fucking based, dude. I fucking love this shit. Or use land tax to stock up on lands. Yeah, it took a while for land tax to pop up in this conversation, which is quite funny. Uh, how about playing Equinox first? Cast your spells, tap your Equinox land. Yeah, Equinox land. Yeah, that doesn't work because it just counters the spell. We've discussed this, but good try. Yeah, Tom Wiley explaining it to him, which will thus counter the entire spell, so your opponent doesn't lose their land either. Equinox does not just stop my lands from being destroyed; it stops something that would destroy my lands from doing anything at all. Yeah, Equinox counters a land destruction spell. So it does not work in this situation. But you know, confusing game. Yeah, another person just counter your own Armageddon. What a great idea. All right, then we got this one. Not really a good strategy, but sort of works. The thing is, my deck is based around getting little creatures out quickly and pumping them up with lots of enchantments. This requires few mana as a rule. Get out your 4 question mana needed for Armageddon. Get out your creatures, save all the lands that you draw. Your opponent will probably have more lands. Feel free to whine about lacking of land for a touch of dramaticism. Then use Armageddon and start putting out your land. I use a white-green deck, so I also have Channel at my disposal if necessary. I suspect mana batteries could be employed also. It worked once for me, failed miserably the other time, and I'm getting rid of my white-green deck now anyways. Good luck. Man, this is so close to like what you actually do. So like there's obviously different ways to use Armageddon, but the classic strategy is in like white aggro or something like that where you just get early advantage by having tempo and smaller and cheaper things than them, and right when they are about to start like getting out their threats, you just blow up all the fucking lands and win in a few turns. That's generally the best way to use Armageddon. And this is pretty fucking close to that, which is pretty cool. Fast Bonds, Gaia's Touch, and Land Tax with plenty of weenies. Cast Fast Bonds and Gaia's Touch until Land Tax comes out. Cast Armageddon. Hope he doesn't have a fucking counter spell. Yeah, fuck counter spell. Fast Bond Armageddon is such a hilarious. I mean, I guess it could work. All right. Well, there's the Armageddon Dingus Egg reverse polarity concept. Truly amusing. Yeah, it is pretty funny. Tap 6 mana into your mana pool, 3 of which must be white, then cast Armageddon, and just at the end of your turn, cast reverse polarity. You gain 2 life per land lost, and your opponent loses 2 life per land lost. Truly annoying, especially if done repeatedly. And no, Equinox would stop an Armageddon cold, not just save your land. Equinox prevents all land killing properties of one spell. Stone Rain, Blight, Sinkhole, Kudzu, Erosion, Armageddon, Balance, Ice Storm, anything else that destroys land. This includes for your opponents as well. Yep. Man, what a time. The Dingus Egg Reverse Polarity combination is definitely the best one Armageddon has to offer, but its uses are even much more. The key to mass destruction cards like Wrath of God, Armageddon, Earthquake is that you, the caster, are in the driver's seat. Yeah, 100% correct. Well, maybe this first part is suspect, but this is the important part of what makes these cards good. Most people don't save creatures unless they know the opponent has a Wrath of God, and similarly, very few people hold extra lands in their hand. This is where Armageddon becomes especially deadly. If you pull your Armageddon, don't play it immediately. Wait a few turns until you've got some extra land in your hand. When you finally play it, your opponents will be scrambling for mana, unless he or she is a Mox Maven. Yeah, fucking them Mox Mavens. And you get the honor of watching their increasingly frustrated scowl as you play a land each of the next 4 turns. This is also actually a good use of an often useless card. If you're playing green and you have Fastmon, you can jump right back into the thick of things. Holy shit, this dude's a visionary. Someone else who says Fastmon isn't that good. Fucking A. Another great example Armageddon has to offer is the ability to save your hide in extremely hairy situations. I won't go into all the possibilities, but here's one instance that occurred not too recently. My opponent had only one creature, a Lord of the Pit. He also had a Circle of Protection Black, which I had played Power Leak on. After he sent his demonic friend crashing through my defenseless line, I was trailing 15 to 20. My next pull was Armageddon, which I promptly played. During my opponent's upkeep, his Lord of the Pit grew a bit agitated, and his Circle of Protection dripped some gooey pus, dropping his life total to 11. I took another slam from the Lord of the Pit, making the score 8 to 11. But once again, my opponent took 9 during his upkeep. After another hit by the spawn of Satan, I was trailing 1 to 2. When my opponent's upkeep rolled around, he was quite happy, as he had pulled a land the previous turn. However, while this was enough to satiate his trampling beast, my power leak left him out to dry. Final score 1-0. So to sum up, Armageddon is one of those cards that is worth playing because it can be deadly in combinations, and by itself, it can often be a lifesaver. Fucking hilarious. What a hilarious situation. I know what you mean. I once won a game by doing just such a thing. I was ahead in creatures, both in power and numbers, but was getting slammed by a Fireball Disintegrate deck. I just pulled out the Armageddon, and while my opponent was gasping for mana and holding all those Fireballs and Disintegrates in his hand, I continued to stomp him with my already summoned creatures. Oh, great. One other good use I have found for Armageddon. Whenever my opponent has demonic hordes out, use it and keep healing his horde when he tries to kill them. Even did a death ward on them when he used Schindler's Disc in desperation. Snicker. Speaking of Armageddon, all my friends use land destroying decks, and all I can use is Armageddon. I play black-white Pestilence COP. That's a pretty good deck at the time, dude. Any good methods I can use for saving lands? I have 3 conversions in the deck, but can't always get them out fast enough. Any ideas? Yeah, keep some land in your hand, I guess, dude. I don't know. Pyramids works nicely, especially if you have a mana flare out. Hell yeah, dude. Of course, since the Dingus Egg is no longer restricted, I can't believe they unrestricted this card. You could put out multiple Dingus Eggs and get lots more life than that. Combine with Fastbon and Unks of Mishra for a real hoot. It doesn't this just like fucking lightning bolt you every time you... Alright, sure. Incidentally, Pyramids and a Mana Flare would work great with Armageddon. You tap 2 lands, cast Armageddon, then all your other lands can afford to pay for themselves to be saved through the Pyramids. With some of the Urza lands lying around, yeah, just like, that's gotta be no problem getting those out. You could even save the first 2. Oh, man. Early Magic is so fucking cool. Back before people had the fucking game solved. This kind of shit brings me such joy. How to use Armageddon. So many bad cards mentioned. Hell yeah. Man, this is why like limited and stuff like that is just so much more fun. You just have so many options of doing just the stupidest shit that should never work. Oh man. Alright, so the last post I have is a little bit short. I thought it was funny. I have no idea if it's a joke or not. Some people think it is, other people don't. I'll leave that for you. But we're talking about restricting Argothian Pixies. Argothian Pixies should be restricted. They are too powerful. I can never win against my friends when I use my all-artifact deck. Leagues should restrict this unfair card. What do you think? I also have a problem against Argothian Treefolk, but not as much. Yeah, Argothian Pixies, man, what do you do against that? It's kind of obvious that you got predictable, and your friends got smart enough to work a defense-offense to crush you. Diversify. Change your card mix. Pray they don't cast Shadowstorm. I think all artifact is suicide, myself. No instants, interrupts, enchantments, nothing? Just artifacts? Bleh. If I were your friends, I'd go with white, red, green. The Pixies plus Shatter, Storm, Detonate, Divine Offering, Dust to Dust, Power Leech, and tons of reverse polarity. They'll have life and you will have nothing. If you insist on staying mostly artifact, take a little black. 4 Death Grips, 4 Terrors, 4 Paralyze, 4 Drain Life, and 4 Weakness will help quite nicely. Yeah, I mean, Drain Life is kind of hard to play in a deck that's mostly colorless, but yeah, sure, like, I agree with the main point he's trying to make here. Get a ticket for the clue bus and ride it. If your vaunted all-artifact deck is losing because of a 2/1 creature, that should be a clue that your deck needs some work. God, I can't believe the weaknesses of this ill-conceived deck weren't obvious to you. I'm sure you would advocate for the banning of Shatterstorm, too. Alright, dude, go have your morning coffee. It's not that. You don't have to be such a dick. This person's like, I think that it was a joke, which maybe. It's hard to tell on the internet. This person's like a pretty damn funny one too. And yeah, if this is just satire, it is really funny. Not everyone thinks it's satire though. Anytime you use an all anything deck, it's gonna have a major weakness. All black, karma. Yeah, karma can be pretty rough if all you got are swamps. All white, flash fires. All green, acid rain. All red, conversion. All blue, tsunami. All artifacts, Argothian Pixies, Shatter, Shatterstorm, Disenchant. Let's not forget about Nevernull's Disc, a card that will upset anyone's deck. Not if you don't play anything, then that card does nothing. A couple of the Abyss might do wonders as well. Yeah, the Abyss and some Juggernaut is fucking hell. I agree. It's pretty rough. Shatterstorm and Tranquility. Wow, some people wouldn't know a joke if it bit them on the ass. It's okay, Dan. You can say ass on the internet. The police won't come for you, Dan. Oh man. I don't know if this is a joke or not. It's hard to tell. Like I've read posts that are sincere that are kind of dumber than this, and I've also read, it's hard to say. But I did think it was fucking funny. Anyway, that's all I have for you today. This kind of stuff is always super fascinating to me. It's really funny how, like, the more things change, the more they stay the same. Like, people were not that different than they are today. They had the same concerns. Obviously, technology has changed drastically, and our ability to communicate and look at information has, it's night and day difference. But at the heart of it, people are still just people. And I don't know, I always find that kind of really fascinating. So hopefully you enjoyed this. Like I said, I have done some Usenet post videos before. They're in a playlist that'll probably be linked at the end of this if you are interested in seeing stuff like that. But yeah, that's all I have for you today. So I hope you had a good time. I hope you learned something new or at least were entertained. Like always, you can like the video if you liked it. I would appreciate that. Otherwise, you can subscribe. If you give a shit, that's up to you. But either way, I hope you have a magical day. Thank you for watching.